As we continue to talk more and more about what it means to have third-party payments inside and related to iPhone and iPad apps, I've been trying to share my professional knowledge of how payments work as someone who works in the industry to help people better understand how payments actually work. I think there's a lot of misinformation in the conversation, whether intentional or not, but there's a lot of bad information that I see out there, especially on social media, when it comes to how payments actually work, and I'm trying to clear those things up. One of the big things I hear pretty regularly is that people love using Apple Pay. They love using Apple Pay in apps, they love using it on the web, and they say that's a reason that they don't want to use a third-party payment option because Apple Pay is so good. In this video, I'm going to show you how Apple Pay on the web actually works so that you have the information you need to understand payments a little better. First off, we need to explain what Apple Pay actually is. Apple Pay is a way for you to store your credit cards with Apple in a way that syncs between your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple Watch, and it works great. But Apple Pay doesn't process transactions. Apple Pay is a wallet for storing that data so you can store it securely and you can choose to give it to different merchants, different providers on demand. So yeah, if you've used Apple Pay on the web before, or you've used Apple Pay anywhere that isn't apple.com, you're already using Apple Pay with a third-party payment provider. Again, Apple Pay is a way to store and access your card data. It is not a way to process payments all on its own. Okay, so to do this, let's look at an actual web page for a merchant. So this is a test page that I've created, and I am a new customer who's never shopped here before, and I can choose to key in my details like name, address, and card info, or I can use Apple Pay or Google Pay to save some time. So just a reminder that Apple Pay, as well as Google Pay for what it's worth, are just wallets. So whether I choose to click the Apple Pay button, the Google Pay button, or to fill out the whole form manually, the payment is going to look exactly the same to the merchant on their back end, and it's going to process through the same third-party processor. So let's click the Apple Pay button because that's what I always choose when I have the option. I do love Apple Pay. This is not a video about me saying why Apple Pay is bad. And this brings up a custom UI in Safari that lets me choose my card I want to use, my billing and shipping information, and the line items for what I'm buying. This is all done using the Apple Pay SDK or a third-party payment provider's front end, which often simplifies the process a little bit, but it's using Apple Pay's SDK. When I use my finger or face to authenticate, I'm actually not running the payment. I'm simply authenticating my submission of this data to the merchant. When I authenticate and the pop-up goes away, on the back end, the Apple Pay SDK is returning a payment token to the merchant's website. It's a blob of encrypted data, so the merchant never gets to see the plain text of my card number. I also made a video recently about how merchants absolutely never want to see your plain text card number. It's not a thing that they actually want to have. It increases their risk. They don't want it, so click up here to check that out as well. But anyway, at this point, the merchant has your encrypted card data, but they haven't run a payment yet. Now, the merchant software needs to submit this encrypted data in a payment request to their payment provider's API. The merchant software will compile all relevant details like authentication, line items, custom fields, and that Apple Pay token, and submits the sale to their payment provider. The payment provider will have a private key that can be used to decrypt the Apple Pay token and turn it into a card number, expiration date, and some other metadata. Again, it is not Apple decrypting this token, it's the payment provider who's doing the decryption. The payment provider then sends all the data over to the payment processor, who's usually a different company, and that processor reaches out to my bank to see if I am good for the money. My bank will either approve it or decline it, send a message back to the processor, which sends it back to the payment provider, and the payment provider's API sends in a response to the merchant's API request as well. So lots of steps, lots of things happen, but the point is that data is sent through just like any other transaction request. On the consumer side, ultimately the merchant will get a response, they'll show me a receipt page, and most likely I'll get an email with a receipt for the transaction. So just to reiterate, two important things. One, Apple doesn't have anything to do with the payment processing in this scenario. It's really just a simple way to autofill your data for the merchant. And two, Apple does not decrypt your Apple Pay data. Those Apple Pay tokens are encrypted with the payment provider's key, so the payment provider is the only one who can decrypt it. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's that Apple Pay is a way for you to store your card in a secure way and use it on multiple devices with multiple merchants. And it's an easy way for merchants to collect that card data from you, but it has nothing to do with actually processing the payment. So my day job is designing software for merchants to use, and that includes doing things with Apple Pay. And even to me, it was not obvious from the start that this is exactly how Apple Pay works, so I totally understand the confusion. But I do hope that this explanation, this video, helped you understand a little better how Apple Pay actually works. If it was helpful, please hit the like button down below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.